I'm Ida Loeffler. I came from Krakow. I came from a very loving home. My mother was just a housewife, and father was a designer, clothing for men. And we were 4 sisters and a brother. I didn't realize what was happening, how life could be so cruel. So I did belong to Jewish organization, Zionistic organization, Akiba. And we tried to build and prepare ourselves for Aliyah to Israel. We learned Hebrew, and we were a very young, good organization. Sabbath day was a special day for us. My mother was preparing, baking challah and fish, and aroma from this baking, it was all over the house. It was very pleasant memory.
Well, you were growing up in Krakow. What schools did you go to when you were younger?
When I was going to regular school with Polish people who were very anti-Semitic. They didn't like Jews at all. But there was normal way of our lives. Later on, I went like gymnasium, that is like high school. It was private. Since I had a few other sisters, and my father believed in education, so we couldn't afford to send me to private school. So I went to Polish gymnasium. They tried to flunk me, but they couldn't flunk me. So I was accepted to Polish school. And of course, she is Jewish. I heard it all over. And even I could write beautiful Polish without any misspelling. I wasn't graded the best. Before the professor told me, you can't have A because you are Jewish. Just simple like that. And there was normal life, way of life, and religion, Catholic religion was included to regular daily schedule of learning. So Jewish girls were excused from a school, from the religious classes. But the priest asked us, please do come. It's so cold over there in the hall. You don't have to do nothing. Just sit with us. And he was telling the kids, the children, the Jewish people, when they die, they won't go to heaven because they have better life right here. And they will only, us Christian will go to heaven because we suffer a lot. And that was my last time when I went to this Catholic classes. And every Sunday, my mother always kept us home when the people were coming out of church. They were violent, and they were trying to beat up on little children, Jewish children. And therefore my mother always kept us home after they went out of the church. And churches were teaching people how to hate. And therefore I really realized when I started to belong to this Jewish organization, Akiba, Zionistic organization, we were beautiful youth, young, strong, going forwards from my lovely home. And I was spoiled child, going to school. didn't know anything what was going on, didn't have to worry about my food or clothing or friends. Suddenly, the life was completely different. Right away, when war broke out, they took all the Jewish people to ghetto. And I lived there for, it is 1943. A part of my family didn't get permission to go to ghetto. So they rented house in little village named Koszyce, and they lived there. My father, mother, and two sisters, Felicia and Miriam. Miriam was married. She was with her husband, Shiek. And I stay in ghetto with my brother, Paul, sister Sabina, sister Ruth, and her husband. And we lived there for a while. He did his business of his own, but the German took over his business, and he was allowed to work only as a working person there. For a while, we were living whatever we had accumulate the money, and we bought a huge amount of grocery when war started. So we live on it. And my brother-in-law was asked to join police in the ghetto, Jewish police in the ghetto. And they promised him, if you are going to join those, you'll be able to save your family. So he tried to join them. But when he seen what he had to do to catch people and transporting them to camps, he just, after 2 days, resigned from his work. And he was transported right away to gas camp. My sister, Ruth, followed him, and they went both together. I stayed with my sister Sabina and brother Paul. My sister didn't have no permit to stay in ghetto, so she was kind of hiding out all the time. When the German police came in and they were checking if we have permission, we always were hiding both together, so when they came in, we weren't home. And they couldn't find us, so they couldn't do nothing. And once, there was probably 1940, between 1941 or 2, there was a massive evacuation from ghetto to concentration camp Auschwitz, to gas camp. But I didn't know at the time what was going on. We were very young. I was at the time 16 years old, and my sister was 14. We didn't realize how to act and what to do. She didn't have no permit to go to, so we went out of the place where we live, and we seen people carrying bundles with them. So my sister said, I go home and get something. And the German police caught her, and they took her to Platzgode. Over there they stay overnight, and right away they went to Auschwitz, to gas camp. I didn't have any idea what was going on, but somebody else was hiding there in the same building. And it was getting dark, and I was waiting for my sister to come back home. And it was getting cold, and I was still waiting for her. And this gentleman, he saw that I'm waiting for my sister. He came out, he says, They took her away. I saw it. And then I never seen her. Later on, then I was left only with my brother, Paul. And of course, the place where I lived, there wasn't no more place of our own. There were people coming and going. Different people were getting out of from concentration camp, be arrested for certain reason. Then we gathered new people, so I didn't know it in our own place who is who even. I just came over there to sleep, and I didn't know nobody. There was place to sleep just only, we had a ration, gas, and no heating at all, and very poor condition, starved to death, very little rations to eat in ghetto. Very little to eat. And somehow I survived with my brother.
I would like to know if you would describe some of the activities, the way you spent days in the ghetto.
My house, first place, we have to move out from our place wherever we lived to ghetto. That was 2 rooms. And we were able to take part of our furniture with us. It was kind of nice from beginning, but when the people were coming in and going from our place, some of them they were killed, some of them they were transporting directly to gas chamber. Different people were coming in and out of my house. By morning, probably I washed my face, splashed my face with water. We had running water in the kitchen, I remember. And the German, sometimes we had to work to our working place, or sometimes they were picking us up with trucks. And I was working in Feldsäudingsstelle, that is in German, preparation for the war. And they have over there gas masks and plastic, what was very unknown to us, big blankets of plastics. And they thought it's going to be some kind of chemical war. Therefore, in this magazine, they had gas masks and those plastic things. And of course, I didn't handle the weapons. The weapons was out of our reach. But what I did with those gas masks, the filters I removed of the mask in case they will need it to do it, and nobody knew about it. And I just disposed of them very quietly, and I never told my best friend what I was doing. Nobody knew about it. And then those plastic things, I never seen plastic in my whole life, but then that was 1944 probably, between 44, 43, there was plastic already there. And what I made holes in them, in those plastics. But what I did sometimes when I was in ghetto, sometimes I took the plastic. I need to survive. I needed more food than average. Then let's say I needed enough food like normal person, but I never had it. So what I did with those plastic, I put around my body and took out of this working place, went where I used to live and sold this. And this lady, she gave me some money for, not money, food. So I took to ghetto. I didn't look like Jewish person. I was always blonde and taller than average Jewish person. and they didn't recognize me. And I am Jewish, therefore I smuggled things out of the ghetto and in of the ghetto. I went someplace out of the ghetto and bought provision, like eggs on black market. In the store, I bought it. And went to ghetto and sold on black market because that's the only way we could survive. I was there maybe 17 years old. And how I went out, our place where we live, the basement window was going out of the ghetto. And of course, it took a very small person to get through the window. So I was looking on the patrol because they were patrolling the streets. I was looking, I saw the policeman went one way, then I knew it will take him a few minutes to go back. So I sneak out of the ghetto and bought the provision and smuggle in, throw away to basement first, and I run in back, close up the window, and that's way I and my little sister had survived physically. We had more to eat, otherwise we would die because we were very young people and we needed we were growing. She was 14 from beginning and I was 16, so you could imagine to be in that kind of position. And of course I don't remember how I washed my clothes or probably in cold water on the sink. That's all what I could do. And therefore, when I went to camp, I wanted to work in laundry to keep myself clean. I was eyewitness in ghetto what they did. We had a hiding place over there. I live on second floor, and that was off the building, some kind of hiding place. Probably years back, children were playing over there and hiding. And that was our hiding place. And people were starting to run, and I said, oh, let's go over there when something is going on here, something bad is going on. So I and my sister, we went to the hiding place. Since I saw it, what was going on, I thought I'm going to fall out from this place and go with the people. I was eyewitness to seeing people throwing children from second floor building right to the truck. The adults, they were beating up and they had to walk on their own strength, on their own feet. And later on they were transported to gas camp. But it was crucial to see the little children. Parents, they dressed them up nice. They thought maybe they are going to have pity, such a beautiful baby. And what I saw, they pick up the baby and throw away just right to the truck. And the blood was running all over the backyard where I was hiding, what I saw it. And then later on, quiet down everything. They did what they have to do, the German, and they left. So then we went out of the hiding place, and people start to clean up the blood, wash off with hoses. And there was this thing in the ghetto. Later on, they liquidate the ghetto in 1943, and my brother went with the men to Plaszow ghetto, and I went with the women on the women's section. I saw my brother a couple times, and then I didn't see him anymore, and they told me he went to Auschwitz. And of course, since I didn't hear nothing of him anymore, so probably he did die. And I left all by myself and tried to when I came to concentration camp, they asked me where I want to work. And I was thinking, I need to keep myself clean. How I am going to survive? So I told her I wanted to work in laundry. And they asked me, who was your mother? I told him, I was lying, of course. I told them she was washing laundry for other people. And my father was a tailor, because I was really wanted this job to keep myself clean and maybe warmer over there. And I stayed there, and there was so many different things. While I was working in this, there were big board of laundry, washing by hand. And then later on, they were boiling them. There was disinfection for lice. And there was, I don't know how many hours we were working, probably 10, 12 hours a day. It was, and food were very scarce, but somehow we survived from day to day. We had to wake up early in the morning. I don't know what time that was, just day, started between day and night, maybe 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and stand, they call this Appellplatz in German, and we were standing them sometimes middle of the winter, freezing to death, not warm, we didn't have any warm clothes. And they were keeping us just to freeze us to death. People were dying, just dropping dead, just one after the other. And how I survived, I don't know. I remember, I don't know how I could do that, thinking of it, because I was so young. When I was standing on this place and freezing to death, I tried to think I am someplace else. I transferred my mind on different place, completely different place, that I'm not here. I'm having wonderful time, and just like in dreaming, fantasy. And that's what keeps me on going on this Appellplatz, because people were dying. And sometimes German, if they were in bad nature, they just came in and counted 1, 2, 3, 'tis 10, and the 10th person they shot to death. In 1945, in January 15, I never forget this. I was going. We heard, I didn't know it, but the German, they started to be very nervous around us. And we suspected something is going on. And middle of the night, they make a noise to get up and go pack up whatever we want to. They gave us provision, whatever we could carry, and make us to walk to concentration camp for Auschwitz. There was 100 kilometers, but we weren't very strong, so it was very long walk. And of course you could grab all the provision you want to, but you couldn't carry with you. So we were dropping low, because there was provision for long time, probably for long term. So they'd ask us if they wanted to kill us, they want us to walk on our own feet. So we couldn't carry all the provision, whatever we could. We were dropping off loaves of bread on the street. And when we came to concentration camp, Auschwitz, we stayed there for a night, overnight, and they gave us something to drink. I even don't know what it was, almost nothing. And they say, you don't have to be afraid anymore. They won't kill you anymore, because the gas camps are already taken apart, those gas camps. Those gas chambers, they were taken apart already, and they wanted to show, because the Russian people were very close to Auschwitz, and they didn't want to see them, how they exterminate the people. They were still there partially, and people told us they are dysfunctional. We don't have no more gas over there, nothing, we can kill you, so you'll be alive if you survive. So then we walk on our foot to Germany, day and night, and we were thirsty and hungry. I had little tiny provision with me still, but I was so wore out I couldn't even eat. But I was so thirsty, I wanted to drink. And they wouldn't allow us, of course, no drinks or nothing. Whoever could make it, it died. You could see bodies behind you all over, people who didn't survive, who couldn't stand. They were just dropping dead on the ground. So somehow I survived, went to Bergen-Belsen, to the camp, and just by entering the camp, I smelled dead. You could smell dead people piled up in front of the barracks, just like the wood piles. They were piled up dead people. And of course I got it right away sick, very sick, typhoid fever, no medication, nothing. I had very good friends where they walk with me. We were helping each other. That's the only way we could survive. So they were somehow washing me, whatever they could, bring me some water, which very seldom. And I was very, very sick. I was dreaming about things, nightmares, and of course my body dropped down to nothing, without food for 3 months almost, just once in a while something. But those girls, they were trying to do the best. Somehow they weren't sick. I don't know why. They didn't get the typhoid fever, but of course they weren't strong. They were just the same, hungry and dirty, but we help each other. So I went in this, they took me to kind of Krankenstube, at this little hospital where the people were, sleeping place was the pritcha, that is like a shelves with little straw. And I was placed over there with another person. I don't know who she is, Hungarian. They were trying to bring some food up there. They were feeding us. I couldn't eat. And this girl, she ate everything what I couldn't eat, because I was just too wore out, too weak to eat. So this girl, she was eating everything, and suddenly, next day, they brought me some food, and I wanted to give it to her. I said, you take this, because I can swallow. I couldn't even lift up the thing. So she didn't answer. I was laying with a dead person for I don't know how long. Then I was really started to be really weak and dreaming of something. I fell out of the sleeping place, which was on the second shelf. I fell down on the ground. And of course those girls, what they were stronger, what they supposed to watch over us, they picked me up and put me to the pile with the dead people. Before night was over, they always was taking out those dead people outdoors. But somehow I start to move with my arms and legs. And those girls, they said, look, she is alive. So they picked me up, and few girls, of course I didn't weigh more than 60 pounds, but they didn't have much strength either. So few girls, they lifting me up, and they put me back up on the sleeping place. And then they told me the story, because I didn't have any idea what was happening. But one thing I remember, while I was laying down, I was very peaceful. Nothing was hurting me, and I wasn't hungry. I was relaxed in peace. But then they brought me back to life, and a few, I think so, a month later, we didn't have no recollections of days or months or a year, nothing. We didn't know. We didn't know. Only we knew one thing, when it was winter or summer, because of the weather. That's all what we knew. So later on, of course, I was sick, and those girls, friends of mine, they tried to come over and see me and comfort me whatever they could. They couldn't do very much, but they tried to do the best. And the English people came in and free us. They didn't know how to handle that kind of people. What we were completely like skeletons. You see sometimes skeleton, that's the way we look. Only you could see eyes and big nose and bones. And our body, we just couldn't walk. I couldn't walk anymore on my feet. We were just walking skeletons if we could walk, or laying down skeletons. That's all what we were. And then those two girls, they were better off than I was, so they tried to come and bring me some water. That's all what they could bring me, water to drink, and try to comfort me and try to comb my hair. As soon as they touched my hair, they found the hair in their hands. I lost all my hair. And the Englishmen came in. They didn't know how to handle this kind of people, so, and they didn't have very much provision either. They had a military provision for themselves. So they tried to share with us. So they tried to feed the people with the bread and meat from cans, and people were not able to digest this. And more people died from their food than average per day, average out in concentration camp. But how I survived, I couldn't eat. Whatever they brought me, those people, I couldn't eat. Everything was completely, my body was completely shrunk. I couldn't swallow even anything. But later on they tried to make from the German living quarters. They made it hospitals. And those hospitals, they brought those people from concentration camp to hospitals. And we got it to sleep on beautiful, clean beds, white linen. And we were very sick. We had diarrhea, every one of us. And the German, of course, under English supervision, they had to carry the things to bathroom and keep the room clean. And of course, in every room was an English soldier to watch the Germans, because they didn't trust them. And it was nice and warm, and they cleaned us up with what? DD powder. DDT powder is very dangerous, we found out now. But this is the only way they could kill all the insects on us. They put on us for 2 days DDT powder on whole body and hair, whatever. And then later on they took us on the washboards and washed us and cleaned us up, and then I just like that happened something like I would woke up from a bad dream and start to realize where is my family. And sometimes when I was in camp, I was very happy. I don't have them around me because I couldn't believe that something like that could happen. I believed that they are in better place than I am. So therefore I was kind of happy that they are not with me. But later on, naturally, I found out that they were guests. In Germany, after I got it freed, I was working first as a nurse because I had a little bit more education than average. Then I knew Latin. I went to work in drugstore. And I got acquainted with my husband. He was looking for, he knew it that the girl is from Krakow in Bergen-Belsen. So he was looking for me and we fell in love. We got it married. No, we didn't get it married. I wanted to get married in Germany. I said, no, I am not going marry in Germany. So he found his brother survive, and he was in Sweden. In Sweden, first he went to Sweden. He found him. He found himself up. He went to Sweden with his brother, but because I wasn't married, I couldn't go with him. But because I was working in pharmacy and I knew very many people over there in the office, they told me in the office like that, look, we have free passport going to Sweden. If you want it, you could have it. So that's why I came to Sweden and lived there for 10 years. So we came here to United States. My aunt, Morris's, my husband's aunt, sent us tickets, and we went to Sweden, from Sweden to United States. We would have stayed in Sweden, except people were very sweet and nice and very kind, and life was just wonderful. People were very kind and very helpful, and they came to our house and taught us the language and right away how to read and write. I never seen outgoing people like that, but the climate was so harsh. I was so sick all the time, very, very sick. And since we lost all our families, I wanted somebody closer. So he went to those, they sent for us, and we came here to Kansas City and established our life. I am very happy to be here in the United States, to live in free country. Many things could be improved, the way I see my life. Not my life, I see the country. It could be, we have room for improvement. But I think so, long run, is the greatest country in the world.